Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Capture the Game Within the Game. I'm your host, Brady Sunfounder, and on today's episode, I'll be having the opportunity to have a one-on-one conversation with a former pro team owner and GM, as well as a former pro and college head coach, and now sports consultant and motivational speaker, Lewis Shine. So, just give us a little bit of background about yourself, about your upbringing, and then what made you want to venture into the realm of sports.
From a little kid, my dad has always had me around basketball. Growing up in Chicago with my mom, I was an '80s baby, so I seen Michael Jordan when he first came in, and so that kind of baptized me into the game of just basketball. And then being in Chicago with when the Bears won the Super Bowl in '86, I mean, I was kind of like around all that as a kid.
Yeah.
And so that kind of gave me my start, man. And when, going to California to live with my dad in the third grade, it was always basketball. And he would take me to the Laker games, and I seen Magic and Kareem and James Worthy. So, I kind of seen all of that at a young age. And to me, that's probably one of the greatest eras of sports, period, in my opinion. And so just kind of coming up in that, man, it really kept me on that sports theme because my dad was a huge sports fan, and I kind of got birthed into that. And that's kind of what shaped my course in staying in sports and staying in basketball, to be exact. And so that's kind of how I got started, man.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I see you're from Lima Senior High School, which is here in Lima, Ohio, which live in Ohio. I live up in the Bowling Green area, so I see it's not as too far. So it's pretty cool
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
seeing that. So what, in the sense of going to Miami, what made you want to choose to go to Miami?
Well, actually, man, I had some different offers out of high school that didn't work out. I could have went lower to a lower level school and played ball, but my grades were amazing. And so Miami reached out to me, out of nowhere, and asked me, was I still coming? And I never knew anything about coming there in the first place. And so I saw the letter, saw the packages that they had offered me academically, and it just was a no brainer. So ended up going to Miami, and I walked on the team when I got there. So I had a chance to do my academic piece as well as basketball, which was my heart at the time. So that's kind of how it happened at Miami.
Yeah. How was that in like high school growing up? Like you wanted to play basketball and you wanted to go play that in college. What was that like looking out at other schools and just not getting those offers or getting maybe turned away from them? How was that on you as a kid?
It was challenging just because I saw a lot of my counterparts, my friends that were getting different opportunities. And, for me, I knew I had the ability in the game, but, I wanted some of those high offers. It just didn't happen. It was challenging, but I was determined that I was going to make a way. So, before I went to Miami, I made a call to the basketball office and said, hey, what do I have to do? I'm coming there. And they said, stop by the office once you get here. And once I got there, I had to make a way for myself. I had to go take a spot. And I was determined to do that. So for me, it was a little bit of mourning at the time because I didn't get an offer, but I quickly got over that because I knew what I, possessed, and I knew what I was going to go do, and I was going to go take me a spot no matter where I went to school. That was just the confidence I had. So
Yeah, no, that's good. I know I went to school. I ran track, so I didn't get it. I wanted to play basketball, but I didn't wasn't good enough. So I stopped doing that. Focused my time on running. So I do understand the point of wanting to go to dream school wasn't
yeah,
happening. I'm not wasn't fast enough. So I was like, okay. But running or competing in sports in college at any college you go, any level, is always a great thing to
yeah,
have. And I know I'm coaching track right now, and just even letting the kids know, like they all want to go D1 and run like the best school possible, but just that journey for them. And I know
yeah,
even for you, like it's different, and like each level has a different type of competition. And so, like, how
yeah.
was that competition for you when you go to Miami? What was that like compared to when you were playing in high school?
Of course, it was a lot faster, a lot bigger people. I think there was a lot more attention to detail, but I mean, I fit right in. I think more than anything, to be able to have the toughness and the understanding of the game really helped me to get over. So it wasn't super challenging. It was more mental. And so I had to shift my mentality to be able to, go through the workouts, which were a lot more intense. The practices were a lot more intense. So, just more mental, but, I was always a stickler at preparing my body, preparing my skills and all of that. So that wasn't hard. It was just more the mentality change that I had to endure.
While you were there, what was one of like the biggest inspirations for you while you were competing at that level, the collegiate level? I know you also played some professionally too, but what was it? Even between levels, what was your inspiration at each level of the game?
Well, being there, it was like a dream, come true because I was able to make the team. But being able to see guys on my team that were great players, like my teammate Wally Zerbiak, being able to see him and what he did, and then when he got drafted, and I was able to talk to him after he got drafted, and just to see someone that you played with, someone that was right there grinding with you, getting practice in, all that kind of stuff. And then to see them get drafted in the lottery and play in the NBA, it was just amazing to see. So that was a real inspiration. It showed that there wasn't a lot of separation between, you know, where you were and where you can be. The only separation is hard work, and I seen that kind of work that he put in. So that was a inspiration to me as I played and as I even aspired to play at the next level.
So how was that next level of transition like for you after seeing like your friend go through the lottery draft? How was that for you when you were able to get your chance at playing at that next level?
So, going through college, I played that 1 year. There was a lot of things that happened that prevented me from playing again, Title IX and different things like that. Felt like I did enough to earn a scholarship, but didn't. And so, I finished school there. I tried to transfer actually to another school so that I could play more, but I would have lost a lot of academic credits. And at that point, I felt like it wasn't worth it because that's more money to go longer to get your degree when you're already ahead of the game where you are. So me and my family, we just decided that I would stay there. And then after college, I would pursue pro basketball. So what I did was after I got done, I went to a lot of camps, a lot of pro camps, worked out for an NBA team, some D League at the time. I just went through that process, and so overseas teams, overseas camps, and so I landed a spot in Salt Lake City with the Utah Snow Bears. Ike Austin, which played in the NBA, he was the owner of the team at the time, and so I ended up working out with them and being invited to their pre-training camp, and ended up getting cut. From there, I got picked up by another team that was in Denver, and played with this team, and which transitioned me to a team in Louisiana called the Louisiana Cajun Pelicans. So that year, I ended up with three different teams. Stuck with the last one, finished the season with them. So it was a lot going on
Yeah.
that summer after I graduated until I actually got on a team where I ended up playing a season with. So a lot going on, a lot of training, a lot of changes in the way you think, the way you eat. It was a lot of stuff going on. So, but it was a good summer. It was a good testimony, get through it, and I'm glad I had an opportunity to play.
Yeah, I like that. I like that part. Did that change like the mentality of anything when you got to have this opportunity to play for a team and then get cut and then go another one? And as you said, three different teams in the span of a summer. Was how was that on your mental health and just how were you able to overcome that and get through that?
Yeah, so the summer was actually a lot of working out. I actually didn't. I went to camp in October, got cut, spent some of November training, and then got picked up at the end of November. So ended up going from November to mid-February was the season. So it was like a 3-4 month season. It was, you got to change your mind. I mean, I went through a lot of stuff. I mean, after I got cut, I came home, and before I got actually, before that team actually flew me out there to train and do pre-training camp with them, there was a big write-up in the newspaper and live and all that kind of stuff. And so it was amazing. It was crazy because when I got cut, I was kind of embarrassed because, you get this newspaper article where it's like, hey, Shine is pursuing his NBA dreams by, playing at this minor league team. And he's trying to move up. And then like 2 weeks later, you get cut. I was like, I didn't want to go home. So I actually didn't go home. I actually stayed in Dayton with my uncle, and I trained down there, and I worked out with Athletes in Action, just waiting for that next opportunity, man. So that was kind of a piece that I've actually never even told anybody, but I was embarrassed because, it's like, man, he's back, he got cut. And so from there, I just stayed in Dayton and trained until I got picked up again. And then I went to Denver and worked out with that team. And, that was my first contract. And so, mentally, I mean, you just have to stay strong and just have to believe in the ability that you have, because at the end of the day, that's all you have is the confidence you have in what you can do when you're working out for these pro scouts and these pro coaches that they don't know you, and you have to prove to them what you're capable of doing. And, that's kind of the mindset I had to have. And some people don't make it through because of the mindset, but I'm grateful that I kept the course and I walked through it and had a good season where season was good, did a lot of traveling, made the 3-point contest and the dunk contest for the league at the time, and had to go to Las Vegas for All-Star weekend. So it was really cool. So I had a good time.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot, and I do understand like you getting cut, you don't want to go back home, and it's embarrassment. I've never personally experienced that, but that I can see where that comes in, where you're getting there, you make it so far, everyone knows about it, everyone's watching, supporting you, and then when they see that, they're like, oh, what happened? And that's probably why you don't want to come home, because they're probably going to question like, oh, what happened? What'd you do? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just backtracking and stuff with in your college days of playing. I know that as of recording this now, the March Madness is going on right now. What was that like for you being able to play in that tournament? So you reached the Sweet 16 in that. So how was that experience like for you?
So it was pretty amazing. We won the MAC championship that year. So, in the old media guide, there's a picture of me standing behind, I think it was Wally. He was going up the ladder. One of the players was going up the ladder. I might have been John Estate, our power forward. And I was standing there, who was cutting the nets down. So that was an experience for me. So I was a part of a MAC championship team. And then the Sweet 16 team, of course, I was a part of that, part of all the practices. Because I was a walk-on, I didn't get a chance to travel to the games, but I was in all the practices. So I didn't get the feel of being at the tournament. At the time, they were not traveling walk-ons because of financial reasons. Some other schools, I had a buddy at the time that was at the University of Cincinnati, and he was on Kenyon Martin's team, and they traveled walk-on. So it kind of varied with different institutions. But at the time, I didn't travel. So I was at the send-off ceremony, when we got honored, for going to the tournament and then going to the Sweet 16. But I didn't get a chance to go. So that's one of the things that I wish I would have had a chance. And actually, I had the chance, but I had to travel on my own. But during that same weekend that the team was traveling to St. Louis, I was traveling to Minnesota because I was going to another showcase to work out to try to get to another school, because I felt that I had the ability to play at a higher level. I'm sorry, let me take it back. Not a higher level, but a more significant role than a walk-on. And I just was exploring my options at the time because I wanted to try to get to another school. So that's kind of how that was working out at the time. Yeah. But all the hype around it, everything that was going on, it was amazing. It was amazing to be a part of the team and actually be honored alongside of the team, because even though I didn't travel to the tournament games, I feel that I had every bit to do with preparing the team, being a part of the team, as a walk-on, but in practice, guarding the starters and things like that. So that's kind of how the experience went. I don't take anything from it in a bad way. I'm just, rather than sit here and say, all these great things about
Yeah.
how I played and this and that. I'm just being honest about the way it went, but it was still great. I was still honored to be a part of it.
Yeah, with that, is there anything like you maybe regret or you'd go back and maybe travel and get that experience, or are you happy and okay with your choices then of going to the different combine or the pro day, stuff like
Yeah,
that?
I mean, I'm kind of split with it. I would have loved to be there because, okay, I see the video and the celebration of the times we won and in the tournament. But the game that I didn't get to go to, I believe it was the Kentucky game where we lost. But I would have loved to be there. But at the same time, it was just one of them situations where I was trying to be because I knew I could play, and but it's not really completely up to me what the coaches in the program, the place that they were at. So, they were on their way to not even having walk-ons anymore. And I was a walk-on at the time, but because of that, I had to do something for myself to try to get somewhere else to play. It didn't end up working out, but that's what I was trying to do. So I'm kind of split in it, but I'm glad I made the decision that I did. As far as anything else, if I could go back, I probably would not have went to the college I went to, and I would have tried to go somewhere else at a lower level so that I can play. I've known people to do that, and they've had long careers overseas, playing ball because they had a resume. And even when I went and played college ball, I mean, when I went to play pro ball, there were some places where I was not able to get in because I didn't have the 4-year resume with 4 years of stats.
Gotcha.
So I was behind the 8 ball trying to prove myself again when it was time to play pro because I was a walk-on in college. And a lot of pro teams and pro organizations, they're not looking at walk-on. They're looking at 4-year resume. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, yeah.
if I could go back, I probably went to another school so that I can play, or maybe even the JUCO, which my grades were amazing. So that's why I stirred away from JUCO because, I pretty much got an academic ride to Miami in my first year. So that's kind of what I was looking at. So it was tough decisions, but, I don't regret anything the way it went. I'm just glad I had the experiences that I did.
Right. Right. And that's one thing I didn't know as you explained. Like I didn't know that for pro teams and for these like scouting things that you had to have that much of a resume to be able to even try to get on the teams, which I think
Yeah.
for me is pretty cool just to learn that.
Yeah.
Um, and I know, I mean, speaking where you had the experience, what would you say to other people who maybe want to go to that higher up school, walk on, and then want to go pro eventually? What would you kind of say to them about, I mean, even venturing into the lower levels of JUCO or smaller schools?
Yeah, it depends what your goal is. If you want to play D1 for the experience of playing D1 or just be on the team because it's for nostalgic reasons, then do that. But if you're trying to play pro or if you're trying to have a college career where you want to play, go somewhere where you're wanted. Go somewhere where you can play so that you can scratch that itch. So if it's D2 where you're going to be a all-American or a great player and you're going to get to play all 4 years and maybe start or have a significant role, then do that versus go and sit the bench at a D1. Because in the end of the day, when I look back, I don't know how it feels to play 4 years and have a significant role, which I feel like I very well could have. I had a good experience as a walk-on. I played in 8 games, but, you know, all I can say is, man, I was glad I was a part of a team. I'll always be a MAC champion. I'll always be a part of a team that went to the Sweet 16. But to feel that feeling where you're dependent on to go out and play and produce, I don't have that, So
Right.
I don't want anybody that's listening to this, you don't want to look back and say, man, I didn't get a chance to really play. But I was on the D1 team, but I didn't get a chance to play. It's not worth it. And then the other part of that is if you are wanting to play pro, you have to do what's best for you to be in a position so that pro teams can see you. So to sit on a bench at a D1, you might get looked at. You got to have some kind of stats, or else you're just going to be proving yourself. And to sit on a bench at a D1, I sat on the bench as a walk-on. So you're in kind of in the same category. It doesn't matter. But if you can go to the D2 and produce and get some stats, or go to a D1 at a lower level that wants you, then you have an opportunity at that point. So really, I think it starts where you have to define your goals. Like, do I want to play pro? Do I just want to be a part of a team? Do I just want sports to pay for school? Like, you have to know what you want, because in the end, if you want to play pro, you need to position yourself in the right institution with the right situation so that you can get those stats and you can build that resume so that you can play pro. You got to know what you want to do to begin with in order to see anything happen. You got to know what you want to do, and that's going to help determine what you do and what you pursue in terms of the right college.
Right. And I see that all the time, even from my friends when I graduate high school and people around me, and even younger people now, that's what they want. They want to maybe go for that nostalgia or the other thing and not really know what their goals are. And then when they realize 4 or 5, 6 years later down the road, they're like, oh, wait, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
I want to go back and redo this. And
Mm-hmm.
and maybe had amazing talent, but just kind of wasted it as sitting on the bench or just not going down the route that they wanted to go down.
Yeah.
And with that, we guess switching into your the off the court stuff. So that transition to when you were done playing professional ball and done playing, what kind of things did you aspire to go into or get into once you were no longer wanting to play the game anymore?
Yeah. So it was real strange because when I got done playing with the team in Louisiana, that same summer is when Hurricane Katrina happened. So that team never existed anymore. So I didn't have anywhere that was familiar to go back to. So literally at that point, my whole pro career starts over. Like, now I got to reprove myself and try to figure it out again. So, that summer went on, and real life kind of kicked in, job, car note, what I'm saying, rent,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
And so real life kicked in. So I started training. That was the next best thing. Training players, training people that just wanted to get in shape and work out. So that kind of rolled for a few years there. And then, then I ended up working at the same place where I was training as a program director. And so then this team came to town, to Lima. It was called the Lima Explosion. I don't know if you remember that. And so I ended up working out for the team, and they wanted to sign me, but I went to dinner with them, and pretty much, what they wanted to offer me in the contract, it wasn't where it needed to be for me to quit my full-time job, and to continue to pay my bills and play ball. So I couldn't make the move. But what I did was I did do some part-time. I worked for them part-time as a PR and marketing director. And then later in the year, some players got hurt. They knew I still had the ability because I worked out for the team. So I ended up playing like 4 games. And so
Okay.
I had an opportunity to finish my pro career and get that, scratch that itch.
Yeah.
And so continued to work for the team, got hired as a general manager. That rolled over into an opportunity to be the head coach for the team. And then after that, the team ended up leaving town, and I loved what I was doing so much that I actually started my own pro team. It was called the Lima Express. And so I was the general manager and the owner of that team, and had a chance to draft guys from Ohio and all over, from different countries that played for me, that have went on to play in countries like Spain and South America, Argentina, different places like that. So really had a good time doing that. So that was kind of that next step after ball that allowed me to still be a part of ball.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And how was it like just I mean going from playing to then coaching and then starting our team? What was that like and how difficult was it to even just start a pro team after being able to work with one?
Um, well, I'll be honest with you, like, being around it, I still had the ability, even in my own 30s, to play, but you kind of just have to, like, see what life is, what's happening in your life, and really, do I want to go through the grind going into my 30s of trying to prove myself to get on a team. I felt like I had the ability to, but I really was going where the doors were opening for me. And that was a door that opened. And the next best thing to plan for me was to actually to have an opportunity to own a team and draft guys and help young guys fulfill their dreams and stuff like that. So I really had a good time doing that. And, just being a part of that, really kind of it completely scratched my itch because I was just able to help other people. That's really what it's really about. And so, and then to answer your other question, to have the opportunity to own a team and be a general manager, for me, it's probably one of the best feelings ever. Just because I love the sports part of it, I love the off the court part of it, the business, the marketing, the revenue streams, like just everything that encompasses owning a pro team. I really try to model myself after teams that are doing it at a high level. Interesting story for me is when I started the team in Lima, one of my goals was to become a NBA D League team. I wanted an NBA D League team. And so before I even started, I actually called because I told myself, if it's not possible, then I'm not doing it, because I just want to be at a higher level. And so, I worked for the Fort Wayne Mad Ants for a very short time. And that was enough for me to see that I want to do this myself. And so ended up, calling the NBA office, talked to the people that was in, over the G League, the D League division at the time. And they told me it was very well possible to have a team in Lima, Ohio, a D League team, with its demographics and things like that. And they went on to tell me the different things that it would take, far as the buy-in, the net worth that a group or individual will have to have, and this and that. So once I got all that information, I knew it was possible, and that's when I went after it. So, it was a blast, man. It was fun. I did it for 3 years. I sold the team after 3 years, but it was fun.
Yeah, no, I like that you mentioned working for the Fort Wayne Mad Ants. I had the opportunity to work for them while I was at school out there because I went to Indiana Tech out there in Fort Wayne, Indiana. So I was able to do stats for them for 2 years. I was one of the stat callers. So
Okay.
that's pretty cool that you were able to work for them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And with that, what did you do with the Mad Ants while you're out there for a
Man,
minute?
it was a very short time. I mean, a very
Okay.
short time.
Okay.
But I was an account executive. So, sponsorship, ticket sales, type stuff like that. I did that for a very short time. Things didn't work out, but gained a little bit of experience from it. And then I was always around. I actually worked out for them at one point as well when they first started. So. But yeah, it was good to just be around it for a short time. And like I say, I continued to be around it. I went and learned from them a lot, even as I learned how to do like different things like game day operations, and just learning what they do in the organization, from how they do their programs to how they set up the tables at Memorial Coliseum in the concourse level, all that kind of stuff. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I learned a lot from them.
That's awesome. So after selling your team from Lima after a couple years doing it, what did you then venture into after that? What was your kind of next itch, your next thing that you wanted to get into trying?
Yeah, man. So it was challenging for me because I never wanted to sell the team, but situations and circumstances and financially, I just had to go a different direction. And so I struggled for a few months, man. I didn't know what I was gonna do. I mean, I just finished doing what I dreamed to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when that's not there anymore, it's kind of like, man, like what the heck do I do now?
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of time in Dayton, Ohio, man, and just kind of got away from Lima for a minute because I was just like, I just got to get out of here for a minute. So I
Yeah.
hung out down there with some friends, did some things, did some training, ended up having an opportunity to train the men's and women's basketball team at Central State University, and just helped them out a little bit. And then that ended. And so applied for some jobs, man, things didn't happen. So I ended up going back to where I'm originally from, Chicago, and just kind of just reset and just hung out with family and got a job there, just started working and just, just was trying to just seek guidance from the Lord, man, on what was next, man. And so ended up, make a long story short, having the opportunity to go to Toronto, work for the NBA as a volunteer at their NBA D-League showcase, met some people, learned some things. And then I got a call from Central State, man. They had an assistant job opening. So, the time that I spent volunteering, going over to train the teams, it opened the door for me, and I had an opportunity to go in and be an assistant coach, which I won a championship, a conference championship that first year as assistant coach. And then my coach didn't end up returning, went on a leave of absence. So I became the acting head coach and was able to lead a 23-6 campaign. And, from there, I was tied for first in the conference, and we lost by a tiebreaker to win the championship again. And so we had a really good season, man. 2 seconds from going to the NCAA tournament, lost in the conference championship game. And we thought we would get an at-large bid with a 23-6 record. We didn't. So, it was a bumpy ride at the end, because we thought we had what it took to get there. And so that ended up turning into an associate head coaching job at the Division I level, which I did that for almost a couple years, year and some change. And so, man, doing the coaching and everything, was still trying to get into coaching again, but kind of led to me just doing some consulting with coaches and programs, just helping them to do what they do and do it at a higher level and a higher level of excellence, man. So right now, I coach coaches and I help them to improve themselves as coaches and to better themselves so that they can be better for their programs, and help them to learn the different things that they don't know, and help them and enhance the things that they already do know to be better, and to hopefully lead that to winning championships and doing better in their tenure in whatever program and school that they're at.
Gotcha. No, that's cool. And I know here at Capture Source Agency, which is the podcast hosted by, I know faith is a big factor in what we do, and how we garner our clients and athletes, and how you talk to them. I know you're mentioning about it. How has faith played a role in your life, and with all these ups and downs of playing in college, playing pro ball, and then selling a team, not knowing what your next steps are? How has that impacted your life?
Man, that's been everything, man. Just giving my life to the Lord Jesus at an early age of 13. And then, fast forwarding it to just all the experiences, man. Like, one thing I found out for me was basketball can sometimes be the decoy. In our lives, there's things that we're doing, and that it might be your gift, it might be your profession, or your title that signifies the career that you're in. But all of those things are just the vehicles to get you into different places and before different people, so that you can tell them about Jesus. And for me, I see that as I go back, I see it at every step of the way. Even when I got cut in Utah, I got cut from that team. But the Sunday morning before I got cut that Sunday night, I was supposed to go to church with somebody. End up not happening. So I took a walk downtown Salt Lake City in this park. End up running into a guy that had just lost his marriage pretty much and was sleeping on a park bench. End up talking to the guy and led him to Jesus. So if that whole experience, that basketball led me there for that to happen, more than grateful, so I could see instance after instance where, even though it was basketball driven, it was laced with Jesus, opportunities to show people Jesus, you know what I'm saying? So for me, my mind kind of changed to where it was like basketball, I want NBA, I want to do this, and feeling disappointment, and sometimes even crying after times I've worked out because I gave my all, but I didn't get the opportunity, that I felt like I should have. So, or getting the short end of the stick. So now it's like, okay, I wanted that, but now it's like, Lord, use that. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, that's where it is right now. Even with coaching, it's like, hey, I'm giving my all. Some great interviews over the past year or so. Felt like I should have got some good jobs, but hey, only thing I can do is do my best and allow the Lord to do it. So when it's time for a door to open, if it's coaching, great. If it's not, then the abilities that I feel like I have to attribute to a program to win championships, which I've won, and different things like that, maybe the Lord wants to use that in a different area. So, to me, it's all about him and all about what he wants. And the only thing that I want is what he wants for me and to be doing what he created me to be. That's all it is. So if it's ball, it's ball. If it ain't ball, great. Whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? Now I've surrendered that part. So
Right.
it means everything to me. What his will is and his purpose is for me. So faith is everything to me. Literally everything. So
No, I love that. I love that answer a lot. That's I see it a lot with people too, and even myself. Growing up with faith and just knowing like you set your goals for yourself, and you want to hit point A, point B, point C, and you want that straight line. You want to get to where you're at, but with allowing Jesus in your life, it's just you're never gonna have. It's never gonna be easy, just because it was easy for him, and he went through it before we did, and he knows our next steps before we even know it. So it's kind of interesting, even hearing your story, telling me about all your ups and downs and just how he's opened doors, led you to it, like that walk you had Utah, leading someone to Christ. I think that's awesome that that just happened for you. And with going
yeah.
that, how has that also impacted being a motivational speaker, consultant for coaches? How has that also opened those doors and led you to doing that and giving motivation for coaches and how they can coach and coach their athletes?
Yeah, man. Once again, it's not even, I didn't even try to do it. It was after I got done coaching at the D1 level, I created this template that I used that when I was at Winthrop, and it helped me to stay organized. And so one day I was coming home and I could just hear the Lord just saying, "Hey, why don't you put something online to bless coaches?" So it was like, okay, I'll do it. I put it on there, and make a long story short, it went viral. I'm talking about, I mean, to this day, I think it might have hit almost 1 million impressions. I mean, almost 1,000 retweets. I mean, it went crazy. And I'm talking about coaches from the NBA, the Los Angeles Clippers reached out to me, the Indiana Fever, Baylor, you name it, like tons of college coaches, national teams in other countries. You name a country, they reached out to me for a basketball coach. And so literally I was able to be able to be a blessing by using something that I was just trying to get organized and how I keep timeouts and fouls. And I was able to share it. So that opened the door. And so I started helping coaches. I started going to different cities, and coaches, programs would bring me in to do like a two-day workshop where I would work with the coaching staff. I would work with their team. I would observe practices. I would give them, just different viewpoints from, what I've learned in being a college coach and being a pro head coach, a pro assistant coach, and just tons of things that have given me experience with basketball, not only playing, but consulting and owning a team, drafting players, recruiting. I've done a lot in, 25 years of basketball. I've just been able to share that, the failures and the successes, with coaches, programs, assistant coaches, players. And so it just kind of happened, man. And all of a sudden I was helping people. I was going in and doing pregame talks, different things, and just still doing a lot of those kind of things. And so, man, I just try to avail myself with whatever knowledge I have and the favor I have and the people that I know, and I bring that all together, and I just try to help coaches and programs. So it's kind of how it happened, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. Before we go to our next segment, I just want to, what is one like main point and main like thing you tell coaches when you when they invite you in to do these workshops? What is one key takeaway that you tell them, and like for our listeners and people viewing this on when we put it on YouTube, what is one thing you want them to go away from this conversation knowing?
I will say one thing, and it's funny because I have a chalk talk on Tuesdays where I have a lot of coaches on there. So last night we were just kind of talking about this. One of the things that you have to be able to do is maximize where you're at, because a lot of times as coaches, we're not dealt a handful of aces. Like sometimes we have 3, 4, 5, 8, and a 10. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you have to make that. You gotta work that hand like it's a handful of jokers. So, meaning if you don't have the most athletic players, you still have to figure out how to win. If you don't have the resources that other schools have, you have to figure it out. And so, what I try to do is I try to come in and help them how to figure it out. And if you look on my social media, it'll say coaching consultant and strategist. Like for me, mentally, that's my gift. I'm able to strategize. I'm able to take something that's a 0 and make it a 10. But you have to figure that out. And I really, get off in terms of what I love to do in thinking. I did that as a coach. That's how I won. That's how I had the success I had as a coach. I prided myself on outthinking the next person, outthinking the next program, the next coach on the other bench. And I hate to say the word pride. So that's one of the things I just really enjoy doing is outthinking people. And so I studied coaches who outthought coaches. I studied programs of coaches that did good. I crossed over and not only studied basketball, but I would study like a Nick Saban or like a Tom Brady or, of course, Gino. I was in women's basketball. So I studied them. And then I would study things in movies like a Moneyball, where you have the Brad Pitt, where he took a little budget and pretty much made something out of it and became a great team that almost, they did things that year they didn't do before, but he looked at it a different way. And so that's what I try to bring to the coaches is you got to look at it differently. You can't just look at what you have and say, well, we don't have the athletes, we don't have the resources, we can't win. You have to figure it out. And there's a way to figure it out. And I'll leave this, your question on this. Think about the movie Glory Road. This guy, never been a men's coach before. He was a girls' high school coach, came over to the men's side and no recruiting budget and made it happen and went and got guys and won the national championship that same year. So it's possible. Beat Kentucky. It's possible. So I try to infuse that into coaches and encourage them that they can be the same way. You just have to be willing to believe that it can be that way. Because if you don't believe that it can be that way, it won't happen. But, here's a saying that I love so much. Your feet can't go where your mind has never been. So if you think you can't win, you won't. But if in your mind you say, you know what, I'm going to take these resources and we're going to figure this out because we're going to win, then that's the first step, because now you have it here. Now you see it here. You'll start to see it in the natural. So that's what I do the best, man. I try to do that to help programs and coaches. So
no, I love that. That's amazing. Just to hear that and that inspiration is just how you can look at other coaches and take that and then bring that to other people. It's just inspiring for me just hearing that, and just that's the one thing I'll take away from this whole conversation is just hearing that, and that's what I'm going to try to use this and then try to use that in my everyday life too. So I think that's awesome. We talked about that. Gonna go into some more lighthearted questions. With when Desmond and I are here, we play this game. It's like the rapid fire question portion of our game, and we like to keep tally of things. But since here, we're just gonna go through and ask you some of them.
all right.
So one of our first ones is you've had a chance to either have on a basketball team, you have either to build around Steph Curry or LeBron James. Which one are you choosing?
Steph Curry.
And why?
There's just some things that I guess with my style of play that I see Steph doing that is just my style. And I, there's nothing that can replace a person that can shoot like he does. And when you have a person that can shoot like he does, you always make the defense have to play true. You can't slack off. You can't go around a screen half-heartedly. You can't go under screens. There's just things that it opens up the offense and it limits the defense, because the defense they have to respect that. So you put a strain on the defense, they got to figure it out. And it's very hard, especially when the other team is hitting a lot of 2-pointers and you're coming down and trading threes. That's tough right there. And I definitely respect LeBron and his greatness to the game, but I choose Steph Curry.
Gotcha. That's a good answer. So I know you've had a chance to own a professional team. So if you had a chance to take over any other professional NBA basketball organization, which one would you take over?
My first one would say would be uh it would be I won't say the Lakers because I love the Lakers. I love the organization. But if I had my choice, I would probably try to choose a team that number one it'd be in the warm locations. So that would be
No.
but I probably couldn't give you a name, but I would try to probably choose a team that is kind of like that team that everybody's just counted out. They're never going to be great. Maybe a
Mhm.
team that hasn't won a championship, and I would try to take that team and build it because that's kind of in my nature. So
Right.
I would take that challenge. I mean, LA, Boston, they're dynasties. They're
Yeah.
there. They don't have to win again. They're going to be great anyway. But I would want to make my mark. And
Yeah.
so I would want to go and choose a team that maybe hasn't done it. Maybe like a Timberwolves or there is blizzards up there all the time. So I'm not sure, but you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
a team that has like just hasn't even done it, maybe like a Charlotte or something like that. And my goal would be to win a championship. So that's kind of the answer I have for that.
Yeah, I like it. It's a great one. I know you mentioned a couple movies here. So we have a. Would you rather watch TV shows or movies?
Movies.
Movies.
Yeah.
Okay, going off of that with the movies, what is one of your all-time favorite like sports movies?
Linsanity. I
I've
mean, it's a
actually,
documentary kind of, but I love
yeah,
Linsanity. I love that documentary.
I've never seen it. I've always wanted to. Haven't had the time. Maybe I'll have to go
You have
give
to.
that one a look
You
for
have
sure.
to. Amazing.
So other than sports movies, going off that one, what is your another favorite movie of yours that's not sports related?
um, Probably a couple of them. Coming to America, which I love. Coming to America. The new one was pretty cool to me. And then I'll say the other one is a short movie that I had a chance to produce with my wife. It's my wife's short movie. It's called Doctor Love, and so we produced that. And so that's one of my favorites, only because we had an opportunity to do it together, and it's what we love. One of the things we love and enjoy doing. So you can check it out on YouTube on Sharbria Shine's page. It's
Okay.
Doctor Love. It's a short film. So
All right, I'll be sure to definitely check that one out. And our final question here: what is one of your favorite Bible verses that you may have lived by, or just like that's always stuck with you?
wow, there's a there's a few of them, but I would say um, one of them that I've been kind of that my pastor has been really talking about lately is a man's gifts make room for him and bring him before great men. Um, another one, I have several of them. Deuteronomy 8 and 18. Don't forget the Lord your God, for he's giving you the power to get wealth. Pretty much so we can be a blessing, man. It takes a lot to be a blessing. And so that's one of the other ones. Uh, and then there's one that Paul has in the New Testament. It said, these things don't move me. So that's another one. And then I would say, honestly, one of the ones that I really enjoy, I believe it's Luke 1 and 37. With God, all things are possible. So that's another one as well. So
That's great. I love all that. That kind of wraps up our last portion of the interview. For the people listening and viewing this, where can they find you at to follow along with your journey?
So you can find me at my website, www.lewisshine.com, or on social media on any platform, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, at Lewis Shine.
All right, thank you. I thank you for coming on this interview and having this conversation with me. I know I've learned a lot while talking with you, and we'll take some of this to my personal life. And I'm sure people listening at home are going to take some information from this as well. So I just like to thank you for having this opportunity to talk to you.
Appreciate the opportunity, sir.
All right, thank you.